I don't know if you've ever been there, but to get to the African safari.
Bob, can you hear us?
Walk ever. It's 2 miles from the entrance to walk all the way downhill to where you get down on that tram. So it was 95 degrees out there. It was miserable. I finally see the last person. I go, are you telling me that we have to really walk back up the CO2 levels? He goes, no, go right around the corner over there when you're done. There's an ADA shuttle bus. They'll take you back to the top. Oh,
Well, yeah.
We know we recently went just a couple weeks ago to the Palm Springs tramway. I hadn't been there in years. So they changed the trams. You see like little, kind of oval shaped things. Now they're turtle and it turns as you're going up. It'd be very fun. But when you break across the walking down to get to the actual forest.
Bob, can you hear us?
Thing out is ridiculous. And there is no ADA.
yeah.
You walk it down, you walk it up.
Diana's been up there. I never.
It's not, it's been years. They've probably been at least 30 years since I was up there.
I mean, injection, she's never been out there and we did
Because you
it.
know, Palm Springs is like 110 up there. So
Now, I have driven off road to the top of the town.
Oh.
To the backside of the mountain.
Down, I have not done.
So,
But I think it
so I have been up there, I just never taken it.
the trails just.
We were
Bob,
gonna,
can you hear us?
we were gonna do the slip line.
Yeah.
My daughter, my granddaughter, we got there and it replaced the cable, so it's close to the end of August. Oh.
Would you have had to have reservations before? Anyway.
Granddaughters are daredevil. Nobody else in the family would do it, so. Don't do it, zip line, because you actually go over all the animals. And her brother was saying, let go of the tigers.
I know. I don't need a sister at home. I'm good.
Is it working out or?
Don't know. He cannot see or hear us. We cannot see him.
But yet we can see that. That's weird.
I need them for this meeting. Why is video red lined out there?
Just it's not seeing, it was not connected, it's not seeing a camera,
Sorry,
but it's recognizing our sound bar. I just checked that.
reboot the whole system.
Yeah, replay because I already turned the live stream.
Okay. We can do him on the phone. Do we put him on my phone? Can they hear? Put my phone in the middle. That's 68%. So if it gets down low on my phone, I think that. Wait.
I'm sorry, you're not dealing with a room full of computer geeks here, so we don't.
Well, I see his mic is turned off.
First time this has happened. We can.
Lynn's trying to get on, it's not letting her either.
What is the
You
red?
can based on your rules and then they come back and say it's. It's.
Bear with me.
Other end of the waiting room, admit. There you go. There he is.
There it is. Okay,
Can
we
you hear
can
us
see you.
now?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Wow, how about that?
You just can't see us.
I cannot see you. No.
We can see you.
Hi.
You're not missing much.
All right. Well, that's fine. I can listen.
Yeah, Lynn's having problems too, so we'll give her a second.
Okay. I finished unpacking half of our car. We got up and left at 6:30 from La Quinta.
Long drive.
Been driving all day long.
Funny how sitting in the car just wears you out, isn't it?
Yeah. Particularly your lower half.
Yeah.
Did you go up the 5?
Yeah.
If you feel.
It doesn't help that that's an extremely uneventful, boring drive.
Right. You can say that again.
I mean, it's fun, it's nice the first time you do it, but after you've done it a few times, there's really nothing to see.
We had 3 people and a dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my screen share is paused.
Admit.
It's a nice city. Yeah, she's
And you even see you can't see our screen either, right, Bob?
I can see your screen. It has the agenda posted. Yes.
Okay, good.
Wait, and I see Lynn coming on.
Okay.
Hey, Lynn.
All right, you can hear us now, Lynn, too?
Her mic is.
You just can't see us.
She's
muted.
You're muted, Lynn. You're muted. She could.
there. You go.
Now I can hear you.
All right, I think we're close to where we're gonna get tonight, Mr. President.
Okay.
Good to go?
Yeah.
I know. Now begin the Purified Air Recreation Park District Board meeting at 6:38. Can you help us with that?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get roll call, please?
Division 1, Gerald Johnson. Here. Division 2, Jose Luis Medina. Division 3, Rebecca Redorte Byrne. Present. Division 4, Edgar Castellano.
Present.
Division 5, Ross Leisha.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any presentations or recognitions today?
None this evening.
Public comments? I see that we have some for 5.4, so we'll get those when we get to that item. Consent calendar. Like to point anything from the consent calendar? None, I entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. President, I move to approve the consent calendar. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item passes 5-0. All right, on to 5.1. Conduct public hearings and election related to Community Facilities District 2016-1, annexation number 43.
Yes, Mr. President, this is a process we started back in June for the annexation number 43. And I'm gonna turn this staff report over to Ms. Gruber.
Okay, this is the 31 lots that's owned by RC Hobbs. And so tonight is the time and place for the, and and calling for the election.
It's located.
Any questions? I'm happy to take them.
Go up to the map for you. This is the Lynn, correct me, I'm confusing the 2 properties. Which one this one is?
This is the 31 lots. That is.
There we go.
hang on.
This will be the what's being referred to as
Acre lots.
the half acre lots.
Limonite and Riverview.
Yep,
They changed their name, Lynn. What was the name of this?
Countryside is what we know it
Countryside, thank
by.
you.
Okay.
Yes,
They started grading.
that's correct.
It'd be appropriate,
We're ready?
Yes.
All right. So these are the public hearings in this board's proceeding for annexation number 43 to Community Facilities District number 2016-1. The hearings are to inquire into the annexation of territory into the district and the levy of special taxes on the territory to be added to fund the cost of certain public services in the district. The public hearings are now officially open. Protests may be oral or written. Any property owner and any registered voter within the proposed territory to be annexed into the district may file a written protest. Does anyone wish to file a written protest? If so, they must be filed with the board clerk at this time. Board clerk, have we received any written protests?
No, Mr. President, we have not.
All right, since there are no written protests filled, we will now receive oral comments and questions and any oral protests from any interested persons. When all comments have been received, the hearings will be closed. Is anyone here to present an oral comment or protest in this matter? Seeing none, the hearings are now closed. We may now consider and adopt the resolution of annexation and the resolution calling election in that order.
I move approval of resolution 2024-41 entitled Resolution of the Board of Directors, the Hoopa Area Recreation Park District ordering the annexation of territory to its Community Facilities District number 2016-1, subject to voter approval.
Second.
This is roll call.
Yes. Okay, Rebecca Redorte Byrne.
Yes.
Kim Joe Johnson.
Aye.
Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Edgar Castellan.
Yes.
Ross Leisure.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
I move approval of resolution number 2024-42 entitled Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Hoopa Area Recreation and Park District calling for special election.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Rebecca Redorte Byrne.
Yes.
Kim Joe Johnson.
Yes.
Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Edgar Castellan.
Yes.
Ross Leisure.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. The resolution calling special election calls for the property owner vote to approve the special tax and appropriations limit for the territory to be annexed to district. Because the property owners have waived the waiting periods and other requirements related to elections as provided by law, the special election will be held at this evening's meeting. At this time, I ask the board clerk to open the ballots and announce the results of the special landowner election.
I'm in receipt of one ballot representing 19.42 acres totaling 20 votes. And it is in favor of this proposition.
The results of the election being in favor of the levy of the special taxes and the establishment of the appropriations limit. We may now proceed with the final actions for the district. Sir Godinez, can
Yes, I move approval resolution number 2024-43 entitled Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Hoopa Area Recreation and Park District declaring results of special election and directing recording of notice of special tax lien.
Second.
roll call, please.
Yes, Rebecca Redorte Byrne.
Yes.
Kim Gerald Johnson.
Aye.
Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Edgar Castellan.
Yes.
Ross Leisure.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
I move approval of first reading and pass the second reading, the ordinance entitled an ordinance number 04-2024 of the Board of Directors of the Hoopa Area Recreation and Park District, levying special taxes within the Hoopa Area Recreation and Park District Community Facilities District number 2016-1, annexation number 43 area.
Second.
Roll call.
Rebecca Redorte Byrne.
Yes.
Kim Gerald Johnson. Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Edgar Castellan.
Yes.
Ross Leisure.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And that concludes item.
Yes.
Correct.
On to 5.2, adoption of the resolution of intention of the Board of Directors of the Hoopa Area Recreation and Park District for annexation number 44 to its Community Facilities District number 2016-1.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just like the last item, I'm going to turn this item over to Ms. Gruber for staff report.
Okay, very good. This is annexation number 44. This is also our RC Hobbs. This is the Las Palmas development, which is considerably smaller lots and 36 lots. This is located on 45th Street between Opal and Pacific.
Very
This
close
is the
to,
first action.
Pacific Avenue.
Yes.
I move that the Board of Directors approve and adopt the submitted resolution of intention number 2024-44 for annexation number 44 to CFD number 2016-1. Second.
Roll call.
Roll call. Sorry.
Rebecca Redorte Byrne.
Aye.
Kim Gerald Johnson. Aye. Jose Luis Godinez.
Yes.
Edgar Castellan.
Yes.
Ross Leisure.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. All right, on
Thank
to
you.
5.
And one more time, I'm going to turn over to Ms. Gruber, but I think you're to see a theme here tonight.
there's a pattern here.
There's a
So
pattern
this
here.
is, RC Hubs would like to form a CFD through the BOLD program, including both Countryside and Las Palmas. And they are proposing to finance their park fees as well as the circulation fee at the city of Harupa Valley. It is scheduled for the public hearing at the city of Harupa Valley next Thursday, which I will be attending. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. On the park district side, it'll be financing over about $600,000 in fees.
Any questions?
I move that the Board of Directors adopt resolution number 2024-45 for track 38171 Countryside and 37857 Las Palmas.
I second.
Roll call please.
Rebecca Rodorte Burke,
Yes.
Kim Gerald Johnson, Jose Luis Godinez,
Yes.
Edgar Castellan.
Yes.
Ralph Leisure.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. On to item 5.4, request from the Harupa Valley Equestrian Community Club for upgrades to Rick Thompson Arena. Mr. DeWitt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we have a request from the Harupa Valley Equestrian Community Club. They're a newly formed organization here in Harupa Valley. They are working to organize the various Escaramuza teams that are based here in Harupa Valley. They estimate between 12 and 14 teams actually are based out of Harupa Valley. Each team represents or typically has between 12 to 16 members.
16.
Yeah. So it's a good size club right now. They have about 5 teams that have joined their community. This is something that we staff have met with those are here starting pre-pandemic about the organization of this. One of the stipulations for use of our facilities is insurance. The rental fees for our arenas are very, very reasonable, but the insurance is something that we have to have in place. They've formed this club under the California State Horsemen's Association. And then from there, they've been able to obtain insurance that meets our requirements. With that, it's going to allow them to practice at any of our equestrian facilities. I believe hold up to 7 shows a year within that, and that will cover all the members to the different teams that have joined, that ultimately join. What they're asking is, we don't necessarily have an arena that meets their needs. They perform in a 40-meter round arena. That will fit inside of Rick Thompson Arena. It will barely fit inside of the large arena at Larimore. So what they're asking is for the consideration when we revamp our various arenas, something we've been talking about for a number of years here, replacing here at Rick Thompson Arena, the rectangular warm-up arena, replacing it with a round arena. And I believe they're also requesting potentially the purchase of portable panels so they can erect a 40-meter arena inside Rick Thompson Arena for their performances. I believe there are members from the club here today that would like to speak, and they can speak more so to that. What I have included in the staff report for you is there, obviously, you've received their letter, their request from them, but a diagram showing essentially to scale how large these arenas would be in conjunction to what's already out there. The one in the parking area where the warm-up arena is a little larger square footage wise. But then the yellow ring up in the arena, I just threw it at one end of it. I don't know where they would ultimately erect it within the facility, but just to give you reference points of how it would fit within the facility that we already have. Rick Thompson is the ideal facility for something like this. It fits the best. It also has the most parking available. And then obviously the amenities with the park tend to lend itself well for activities associated with their performances. more bathrooms. We have bathrooms at both the park and RT Arena. And then the shelters and stuff along those lines. So with that, I'd be available for any questions you may have, unless you want to hear from the group itself here first.
I'll go first. Rosa Cifuentes.
Rosa Cifuentes. Yes. I'm here.
I would also like to probably pass around a letter of support we received from the Hooper Valley Rotary, Rodeo as well.
Thank you for letting me speak here today. Yes, we have, within the Hoopa Valley, we have numerous groups formed and performing professionally, around 14. Not that they all live in the Hoopa area, but at least 1, 2, or 3 members are in Hoopa. They do come from other neighboring communities. And they don't have a place to practice. They don't have, and they do get ready for competition. They do state competition up north of California. That's the closest, McFarland is the closest working arena that they can perform or do their competitions. They practice backyard rodeo arenas where they're charged an arm and a leg. And to be able to compete out in Mexico, and it's an expensive sport. Most of the equestrian sports are very expensive. This is no different. It's expensive, starting from their horse to their gear, their practice. They have to pay an instructor to get prepared for their competitions. And they are in the need of an arena, so they pay these high prices. So we came up to Kobe and asked if there was any possibility that maybe the Rick Thompson could help us and then maybe alleviate a little bit of these backyard abuses, economically speaking. And that's where we're at. We are requesting a round arena where we can get these girls out of the shadows wherever they are at, come in and practice in a safe, protected place. Where they practice now, there's no insurance. They don't require insurance. An accident happens, you're on your own. But I think having an insurance, it's a little bit that they feel safe. They come out and practice, get ready for their competition. And this, maybe whatever money they paid, even though they don't pay that much, they won't pay that much here, but the money will stay here. It's not a private owned area or person or property owner. I don't know how that works, but that's what we're requesting, that for Rick Thompson to help us and provide something for these girls. It is almost a year-round use of the arena. Their competition season is from May to November. That's their competition. That's when everybody is struggling and fighting for arenas to practice and all that. Outside of that, it's just keeping up with their routines, not forgetting their routines, their drills, whatever. They do take a break for December. That they take a little break. But I could assure you the arena would be used almost year round.
Do you want to mention your event that's scheduled for September 7th and the purpose of it?
Sure. First of all, we're very, very new. Our name is new. we come from back with another name. We were just following that tradition and that ideology of the other club. But now more focused on the girls, the Escaramuza. Not leaving anybody else aside, the trail rides. We have trail rides, we have other activities that we do. But since we are fairly new, we want people to know us and what our purpose is. And we requested a September 7th to do an event, bring all these girls and maybe the public and other teams that could join us and make this event bigger. And so they could know us and know what the Escaramuza is. At the same time, the Escaramuza can come and feel and kind of come out of the shadow and that, oh yeah, this will work for us. That is our purpose.
It's just an exhibition that day.
It's an exhibition, yes. Their competition is almost over. They're international, they go compete. Their state is here in California, even though there are others in other states here in the United States. But the girls here in California, they compete for points, numbers, and whoever gets higher points gets to go to Mexico. Different areas in Mexico, every year is somewhere different. They just built a brand new arena, beautiful arena out in Mexico in Aguascalientes. And I think that's where they're competing now. This is Annabelle, by the way. This is Annabelle, one of our board members, and Escaramuza. She can't get her daughter to join, but in big support of her. But yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to help these girls, bring them out, show them that they could do the things the right way, not hide and pay humongous amount of money.
Before we move forward with questions, Laura Schultz, do you want to say anything?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So my name is Laura Schultz. I am the president of the California State Horsemen's Association, Region 11, which is Riverside County. And first of all, I want to thank Colby and the Parks Department and you folks for the support that you've given us with the Hoof Paws and Claws event in Larimore. This kind of kicked off, and then Rosa's group was instrumental. The reception of bringing the 3 Escaramuza teams there to perform, the reception from the public was just overwhelming. They loved seeing it in that. So we've talked about, again, bringing more Escaramuza events and practices to the community in that. And it's gonna benefit in several ways. When we talk about the portable panels, not only can those panels be used for the Escaramuza, but I don't know if y'all know what sorting is. So sorting is you have a small herd of calves or cows, and the idea is that you sort them and they go into a catch pen. Well, these panels could also be used to erect that catch pen. And I know with with my group, obstacle challenges, we could, utilize several ways there too. And then having the warm-up arena basically replaced with the 40-meter round arena or round pen was actually, you can still use it as that warm-up arena. And it's actually easier to work a horse in the round area than it is with something with corners. This group has come a long ways. They are a club member of California State Horsemen's Association, and hopefully in a year or so will have their own nonprofit. So the whole goal is to get this out here and then to show the community that it is not hard to hold events at these equestrian facilities. And that I know with the Hoof Paws and Claws, people are like, well, how do I do this? So what we're doing with Rosa's groups, and we're trying to show the community that it's not that hard. Insurance is not that expensive. with those 7 events included. But if she wanted to have 8 or 9, it's easy to pull another event date and it's about $100. So right now that insurance covers in those practices. So I appreciate your consideration with, not only helping the Escaramuza, equestrian discipline, but also all of the equestrian, in Europa to introduce it to, to get the community to see what we love, to get them excited about, the equestrians, even though they may not have it, but they support it. And to hopefully generate more events at both Rick Thompson and Narramore. So thank you for this consideration.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, comments from the board?
I'm sorry, did you mention that I missed it, the number of members that you currently have?
The club members, we're new and we have just our board and a couple of members, just regular members. But we're bringing in those teams into membership with us. So before they perform here on September, they will be members of our club.
Any idea as to what that number might be?
Well, right now, there's about 5 teams confirmed. Each team has 8 girls. So
40, 50.
yeah, somewhere right there, yeah.
So I want to make sure I understand what you're hoping for us to deal with tonight. Is it just, this is a request moving forward, or you're hoping something will happen before September 7th? I'm not sure we'll be able to make anything happen before September 7th, but I think everything that we're talking about here is perfectly reasonable and could happen relatively quickly, but I don't know in a month.
And so no, it's September 7th. We understand that. And so we actually looked into renting those panels. It is $4,500 to rent those panels, which
That's
is
ridiculous.
I mean, it's about 5,000 to purchase them with all the connections and everything else. So we understand that. And it's not so much for September 7th, but for future. For September 7th, we can chalk in the big arena. It's just not quite the same.
Okay. But it's something okay, so you've got that figured out.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Mr. DeGoy, what is it you would like from us?
I think we're looking for just some guidance, if this is something you want to pursue, so we can start building budgets. Are you entertaining the permanent arena and the temporary arena? Just some guidance is what you would like to see brought back. I will say I've done some research. I think the temporary arena is a little more than 5,000, but it's probably more around 7,500. We want to make sure we get a little heavier duty, just so it lasts us. But the permanent arena, 8,500, 9,000 in that ballpark. So they're not outrageous in price. The reality is it's probably replacing the rectangular one that's there now with the round one. The difference is not a whole lot of money, and it's something that we know we need to do anyways. So I think those are all measurable things. This is something we've been talking about for a number of years now. We've kind of been faced with the challenge, though. We've had nobody really approach us. We've heard people, oh, it's not in great shape. If you fix it up, we'll use it. Well, we finally have somebody that wants to use it. So I think it's, we're finally at that point that it's going to be a win-win for everybody. So I think I have the guidance. I just want to hear that.
I'm totally in favor of both of those. I mean, neither one of those is particularly expensive. Like I said, we were talking about replacing that rectangular pin anyway, replacing it with a round pin, fine. Like you said, it's probably more usable for the everyday equestrian anyway, to work a horse in a round pin. I mean, when you look at a photograph of Jurupa Valley, you see in the equestrian areas, round pin, round pin, round pin in these people's backyards. Not square pins, not rectangular pins, but round pins, because that's where you work your horse. So yeah, I would like to move forward, have an agenda item as soon as you're able to look at doing both of those things.
I'm also in support of it, especially if we're gonna have folks frequently using it more. My question would be, for the temporary, what does that mean? Does that mean it's stored somewhere or?
Yeah, we would store it somewhere. We've kind of worked out some ideas staff wise. Anyways, I was gonna update you guys on part of my general manager's report along with the community center renovation. But there is an existing storage unit right here that has now been cleared out. That actual unit needs to be disposed of as it's falling apart. But we can very affordably replace it with a overseas storage bin that would be safe and secure, and they can be stored in there. I would not want to store something like this outside, just chained up, it would walk away too easily. But and there may be some other equipment that needs to be stored as well for these activities that would provide safe. It's already on a concrete pad, relatively close to the arena that way. That my only concern really with this is the storage of it. Part of the use of the arena would be the groups would help be responsible for setting it up. And with that, we'd have to have a little kind of training safety session on it, how it goes together, but nothing, these things, the designs on them haven't changed in decades. It's nothing, there's new pins coming out that's in their equestrian lifestyle, they've been doing this forever, so it's not gonna be a learning curve that we're worried about in that aspect.
The warm up ring on the outside, the red circle, that's a permanent.
That would be a permanent one, yeah. That just ends up being a little heavier duty. We wouldn't go as heavy duty on the temporary one. Looking at the if you remember the arena we purchased for Horseshoe Lake. It's very heavy duty. Looking at that manufacturer for the permanent arena, those panels weigh over 200 pounds a piece. We wouldn't want to be moving those and setting them up and tearing them down all the time. That would just opens up our chance for injury. We need to find something that's sturdy, meets the needs, but is still lightweight. So we'd have to find that right balance. But
Sorry, will there be night events as well?
I'm sorry?
I said, will there be night events as
Yes.
well? We can have.
They will, yes. Practices sometimes run late in the evening because a lot of the team, they have members that are either working or school. So it would be an after hour.
especially during the winter months.
Yes.
And as you recall, part of our budget this fiscal year is upgrade of the lighting at Rick Thompson Arena.
I remember it as being a time back, so
Yeah.
is that still on our agenda?
It's already approved. We're doing some research with our electrician right now. And that will be in place before the winter months.
How is that gonna affect the warm-up arena? No lighting there?
Not at all. There's no lighting on the warm-up arena currently. And I don't know if we have the power available to add anything.
Okay.
And that has not been a request at this point. And I think even for their practices, they would just chalk a circle if they were using lights. Because it's gonna be labor intensive to set the arena up. I had to bust out my algebra that I swear I'd never use. But it's about 48 8-foot panels to create the circle. So it's not something that just gets set up and torn down in one evening.
Is there a feasibility of having this ready by September 7th or?
The temporary arena,
Either one.
the permanent one, probably not. Just because of getting it in place, removing the old one, doing the grading necessary, reworking the ground and installing it. We do have a mechanism for doing that, relatively affordable, I believe, but just, we're basically a month out. Acquiring a temporary panel, if funding were approved, the panels and funding were approved, it just depends on availability. When we ordered the arena at Horseshoe Lake, they shipped it 3 days later. So I don't have that information readily available.
Well, I think we were expecting this was gonna come back to us for approval for the cost. wasn't it? So that would still make it even harder to get it done by September 7th, unfortunately.
And I could look into that. We could probably do the legwork and have the information in 3 codes for the meeting on the 22nd. And part of our questions could be is would this, if we have the approval, we essentially ordered the 23rd, would it be here in time? It may be readily available here within the Inland Empire. I don't know.
Either town, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The panels for Horseshoe Lake came from
They
Texas.
came from Texas. But they were literally shipped within 3 days and here in 3 days.
Okay.
So I can't guarantee it, and I think the groups understand that, so.
I can say that you guys know for a long time of wanting more events at that arena. I've been asking for it for years, so I'm all for this. Moving
We're all
forward.
on the same page.
Yep, just please keep JDCC in the loop.
Definitely.
All right, so we bring this item back then.
Our goal would be at our next meeting, it's not a huge quote that we have to do.
Okay. Thank you.
I think my only question just for the group is there a requirement for the panel height?
No.
4 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot?
4 foot,
It's
5 foot, 4 foot,
it is a 4 foot.
4 foot.
Yes.
4 foot, okay, because most of them I looked at are 4 foot, 5 foot.
Yes.
4 foot. Three rail, 4 foot, right?
Mhm.
Just making sure.
I look at my girls and.
Yeah.
We'll do things as fast as we can possibly do.
We appreciate that, thank you.
Appreciate it, yes.
And I would love to stay, but there's a town hall going on right now, so,
All right. no
but
problem.
thank you.
We appreciate you coming.
guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I'm going to that.
Thank you.
I'm getting them on our board now.
I know I'm going to tell them that, so appreciate everything that you guys are doing, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for considering our requests and thank favors. Yes. Thank you very much.
Rose, if you want to leave some of your flyers at the front, that'd be.
Sure, I'll leave them. Let me introduce you to our boards here, our members. This is Peggy Lemus. She
Nice to meet
is very excited about this project. And Annabelle Gamboa is also in our board. Very good. Thank you so much for your time.
Good night.
Night.
All right. On to 5.5, approval of construction contract from the Veruba Community Center renovation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This has been a long process coming here, for the renovation of the community center. We went to bid, publicly noticed it, in May. And had a public, a mandatory pre-bid meeting, for all contractors. We had 8 contractors, present for the pre-job walk. A number of questions were requested through the RFI process. Bids were due and we received 3 qualified bids. All bids that were submitted did meet all the requirements and were accepted. The apparent low bid, Diamond Construction out of Redlands. Myself and our design team from TR Design Group met with them to go over the specifications to make sure we were all on the same page essentially. Nothing was missed, everybody understood the full scope of work. And coming out of that meeting, we were very confident that we had a good contractor and a very reasonable bid. Our estimates for the project were at $4.5 million. Coming into this, we've been seeing some slight decreases and bids, but didn't want to get our hopes up too much. And really the $4.3 million bid that came in, I think is right at a very good bid. And even looking at the other bids that were received, you know, there's not a large spread within that that bid range there. So we were very pleased with that. There's a bid alternative I want to explain. As you recall on the design of the building, the front right now it's got stucco and tile on it. The tile is falling off the building. And that's created a void, which has caused water seepage. The new facade is a lightweight, light gauge metal. And in researching the product, there was 2 ways that they could put it up. One being essentially installing it over the existing facade. The other being removing the stucco and tile, adding some supports and putting it up. We really preferred the second way, but we were unsure how the contractors were going to respond to it within their bid. So that's why we made it an alternative. The architect felt the first way was much more labor intensive. I'm sorry, the alternative bid was a little more labor intensive to get it prepped. But once all the facade was removed, the new product would go up a lot easier. So he really felt it would be a wash. If it was an upcharge, it would only be a slight upcharge. And depending on how those upcharges came in, if we wanted to accept it or not. And I think Diamond Construction saw it the same way we did. That's why he had a zero bid alternative for it. And he feels the alternative is the better way to do it, but he would install it either way per our recommendation. With that, we have done reference checks on the contractor, everything coming back, meeting our criteria, no problems to deal with. Current licenses are all in spec, insurances all meet our requirements. He is in good standing with the Department of Industrial Relations as required. This contractor does a number of public works projects like this, from sheriff, police station renovations, libraries, community centers, throughout the Inland Empire, San Bernardino County. So we're very confident with this contractor. We've talked construction timelines. He is actually on vacation this week, or he would have been here. He apologizes. It was already pre-planned. But they would be looking to start right at the Tuesday after Labor Day. All things considered, this is 6 months or less of construction, which is what we have from the design team kind of thought all along. The really unknown with this is, first off, he has confirmed there are no long lead times. The longest lead time is some of the lighting that goes in, but that'll be ordered right away and does not anticipate that delaying construction at all. And right now they're working just to coordinate with all their subs to be able to keep them on track. That's where any delays will still come in. There are still some labor shortages within the trades. So, if we're waiting for drywallers because they're on another job, that's where delays would come from. That's why he's saying 6 months or less. So worst case scenario, he really thinks it's a 6-month construction timeline. Other than that, I'm available for any questions you may have. But I do think this is a great bid number for what we're looking at. It's redoing the entire parking lot, which we know is in dire need of repair. It's adding additional parking. It is creating a new lot in the front of the community center between the skate park and Pedley. We still have the ability to close off the parking lot. It's a little farther up, which would allow parking for the skate park when the facility's closed. That is visible from the street, so it gives a great security aspect as well. It's improved lighting in the parking lots just to meet Title 22 requirements Title 24 requirements that are out there. It's a definite facelift to a aging facility that is well used within the community. We already have members of the public asking when it's going to be reopened because of the size. It's a perfect niche for what they're looking for, as well as other agencies that typically would hold meetings there. There will be some downtime when the skate park will have to be closed during construction, just because of new sidewalks that get poured, parking lots being closed, such like that. But we have also worked with the school district, and they're going to allow us to use part of their parking at their administrative offices for the skate park. And there's a gate that we can open to allow them to, and we use some fencing that they can walk in for. So our goal is to keep the skate park open as much as possible. But there will be some closures that have to happen.
Did this bid include the signage? Because I had some issues with the signage when we saw it originally. And it's like we've never revisited that.
What signage?
The signage on the front of the building and the signage on the inside of the building.
The signage on the inside of the building was just for artistic purposes for the conceptuals that they did. They're not included.
Okay.
The signage on the outside of the building is as was presented. But we are still early enough that we can make a change if we want to. Should not be a charge.
Okay. Can we have that then on our next agenda, just to revisit that? We only ever saw this once. I mean, it's not like we saw it.
I don't know if we can have the discussion now if you'd like, so I can, if you want some changes, we
Show
can.
it. You agree to show us.
My question, you just mentioned signage, I was thinking more about.
The
talking about
digital sign up
electronic
front will be a
digital
separate,
sign.
the digital sign up front will be a separate project because it will require permit from the city. But included in this is the electrical that needs to be run for it.
Okay. Just want to get clarification. on
No, I understand that completely. All we have is a grayscale of it. But I think Ms. Johnson's referring to the community center on the front of the building.
Yeah.
From the discussions, originally the logo was on the front and the side, and we all determined the side was not needed. And then there's the welcome.
It's just, it's hard to read, it's artsy, but it's hard to read. And it's the Harupa Community Center, and I don't know if you ever get that with that sign.
So if it was all horizontal with that,
Yeah, I think it needs to be horizontal.
I think that was some of our problems with it was the way it was angled like that.
I think they were angling to get the word unity, to make a play on words,
Yeah.
community.
Oh,
Unity.
the word unity.
Yeah.
In the word Harupa, I think is
It's
The
there,
Harupa is
but
there.
it's like the.
It's above the M.
to leave
But
it
it's
Harupa color.
up and down. I mean, it's just hard to read.
I think I'd rather have it sideways in the way it should be, and if you want to have the unity separate, have the comm letters one color of our sign and then the unity a different color.
Yeah.
And you could do it that way and still get that message across, I think.
If we want that cutesy message to come across, I'm fine with that. But I mean, I think, yeah, it needs to be horizontal. Harupa needs to be bigger. Harupa needs to hold its own with the other two words. Because it's the Harupa Community Center. Again, if the sign out front is telling us it's the Harupa Community Center and we feel that's enough, then we don't even need that. So, I mean, I'm not understanding. It's, yeah. So you're just looking at us.
I personally like this. I think this is,
I mean, I don't mind this. For me, it's just the Harupa on the side. Maybe have it on top, that way. Because looking at the side for is a little weird for me.
Yeah, I don't think you should have to turn your head sideways to read the name of this community center. It's
But
not-
I feel like it's a design, so I too don't have a problem with it.
So you're saying if the word Harupa, and then we would kind of say community unity,
Mhm.
would be kind of Harupa unity, Harupa community. That's what you're saying, by moving the word Harupa above the word unity.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and just for reading, just for make it easier on the eye.
Right. So maybe community and center needs to be shrunk a little bit and Harupa goes on top of that. I mean, if y'all want it like that.
Did you do that, share?
Or what's the intention you're looking at?
I'm sorry. I honestly, I think that one of the big pushes was focusing on unity.
Okay.
That was their focus, not our request.
No, I agree with, I understand that completely. Right now, it says Harupa Community Center on this side of the building. I think it was done that way, so when you were driving up the driveway, you would see it. But they're probably only maybe a 6 or 8 inch letter. So this is substantially bigger. We could go all horizontal, that's fine. Would you want it Harupa Community Center, so it kind of balances itself out? Cause I don't think Arupa Community Center on one line would look right.
I mean, it could be 3 words, and I like Ross's idea where you have one color for the COMM and another color for the Unity, if we still want to kind of
Stand that out.
stand that out.
And none of this is lit, correct?
It's up, there's up light, oh, there's down lighting.
Oh, but I'm saying you're not, it's not a light.
Back.
No, it's not backlit,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
underneath this, the facade, there's lighting. There's down lighting.
And do we think it needs to go there, or do we think it needs to go over where it is now when you come in the driveway
I think where it is fine.
Yeah.
We are trying to focus people to that entrance.
to that entrance? Okay.
I don't know why, just me personally, my personal feeling only is I don't like the 90-degree angle.
And I don't either, and I don't like the fact that Harupa is up and down, that makes no sense. But if we put Harupa on top of this, it's gonna be the Harupa unit, it just doesn't make any sense. I'd rather it be horizontal.
Does that pillar cover the view? Like, if you're coming?
The pillar to the left,
Yeah.
if you were over by like where the dumpsters are, or it potentially could.
Or coming in the driveway.
I think you're far enough away, you're
I don't
probably
think
fine.
those pillars stick out that far.
No, it's more of a depth perception on that one. It's only 18 inches maybe. But we can very easily slide it to the right.
Well, I'm wondering why it's not like centered on that wall there. It doesn't make sense to shove it all the way to the left. Why not center it? And then it makes it easier for everybody to see.
I don't want the letters to get any lower.
No.
Yeah.
I just noticed the silhouettes of the people in a couple different spots. Is that just to show people
Yes.
walking around?
Well, I
That's
to
not,
give you
that's
some,
actually could be there.
to give you some depth perception and just some, you know,
Okay.
how high is
Okay.
that type of a? Just a reference
Okay,
point,
alright,
you know.
alright.
I feel like the COMM comes down so low that if we planted some plants there, we'd be constantly fighting the plants growing up tall enough to cover the seat. Like we
I
do
have
at,
them draw
like we do at
some-
Vernola, like,
These are
we-
very easy to
right.
draw up.
It's like every time I go over there at Vernola, it's like,
But you're making it all horizontal. The word center and the words Harupa don't need to be as large as the word community. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
just
that's
don't-
fine.
Yeah,
How they are, basically how they are now.
but Harupa needs to be bigger than it is now, because right now Harupa is the smallest word. It needs to be at least equal to center.
Did you start to say you could bring samples, Colby?
We can, well, I would, sample drawings, they can draw it fairly simply.
and I think if you did it with our tricolors that we already use on there,
Is that the plan?
you know, for the, so like I said, I like the idea of
We
changing.
were looking at I don't remember what color we ended up with, I'm gonna be honest.
Is it like metal? Just,
I'm sorry?
was it like aluminum? Like,
No, we stayed away from the aluminum because we were afraid of somebody scratching that we couldn't cover it up. So we, at least with this, we can repaint them if we needed to. I need to look at the spec. I don't have a color drawing of it.
That's worry.
Well, could we just
Yeah.
maybe have you come back with a couple different options on the sign that we can? look
Yeah,
at?
because the reality is that's one of the very last things that will go up.
Oh, great.
I'd like to.
And it's going to be in the same place, so with the grand design scheme.
Same general location.
Right.
Would you prefer to see it centered within that opening?
Yes.
Yes.
Fun. Okay, but now we
That's
need,
different than this bid, yes.
but we need to approve the bid. Okay. You make it.
yeah, I'll make it. I move the board of directors accept the bid from Diamond Construction, Inc. in the amount of $4,300,000 plus a 10% contingency for the renovation of the Rupa Community Center and authorize the general manager to sign all necessary documents substantial to form.
I'll second.
Roll call needed or? Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, item passes 5-0.
I just, one thing I wanted to share too, is you guys remember we ended up closing the community center earlier this year, earlier than we anticipated. Because the sewer had failed, sewer line had failed. We had to have it scoped and videoed for as part of the plumbing issues and stuff and going over. We shared that with the contractor. After the bid because the way everything came in. And we actually feel it's probably not gonna be as big as a impact as we had feared it might. Because of what they have to cut out anyways, it may only be a couple feet that they have to come out of the building for replacement, so that was a good discussion, and he said it's not uncommon in buildings this age and usage, so. And we did have a window get broken there about 3 weeks ago, and if you've driven by, I'm bed in the front glass doors right here in the middle. And we're obviously not replacing it, so.
Yeah.
All right, perfect, thank you. That's exciting. This is gonna be an exciting project. I think the community is gonna be very excited for, and it's gonna suit us very well, so.
All right, thank you. On to 5.6, reimbursement for Esplanade Park fence. Mr. DeGray.
Sorry. Yes, about a year ago, you guys remember we had a discussion and where Del Sol Academy had basically run a room within their facility, and we'd authorized them for the installation of fencing around a portion of the park. From that discussion, the board indicated they would like to remove the what essentially was the home run fence at the park, and have it replaced at the same time, and we would pay for that portion of it when everything was said and done. The school district just finished this project in like July, and then they sent over their invoice for it. So this is just the formality of approving this at $55,000. It is quite costly.
Did we know
It's,
it was gonna be 50?
we knew it was gonna be up there. It's public works bid. Wrought iron is quite costly. It was a shock, but not a huge shock. Yeah. Their project was well over $500,000, so.
But it does match the existing fences. So
Everything's all
the same.
And I don't know how you recall, but that was never intended to be a permanent fence. It was actually installed. That park was built in 2 phases. It was built by 2 different developers. And it was put up to separate one side of the park from the other. That was completed prior to. And in looking at it, it's a grade or 2 above a temporary fence. And we opted to keep it in just to keep balls from the baseball field from going further. So we would have to be replacing that fairly soon anyways. So it's a good upgrade for the facility. So.
Okay, what's done is done, so.
Well, where is it coming from? Because
It'll come from our operating budget. We have funds within it. This year's operating budget is, after our allocations to our reserve accounts that are part of our CFP setup, we still have an additional $66,000 in the operating budget that would essentially end of the year go to our reserve accounts. But our reserve accounts, between our combined operating reserve account and capital reserve account, we have $2 million available as well.
Okay, so this isn't coming from the CFD.
This is coming from the CFD.
Okay, so when you're saying operating and reserve, that's of that CFD.
Of that CFD, yeah. For 2014-1 with a reserve account of $485,000 and a capital reserve account of $1.5 million.
Okay.
We're not here to blow money, but this is a reasonable investment.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding. Do we need to say that in the motion? I don't
No.
think so.
No.
Okay.
Okay, I move the board of directors approve the reimbursement of $55,034.40 for the fence installation Esplanade Park.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Okay.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0. On to 5.7, discussion of the employee compensation plan. Mr. DeGray.
Yes, this is an item, if you guys are aware, we discussed a number of times over the past few months. And at the direction of the board from our last closed session, this was brought forward for consideration. Attached is the proposed fiscal year 24-25 salary schedule. And then on that, the board added some stipulations and criteria. So beginning in fiscal year 25-26, so next July through 28-29, so a 4-year period. In addition to this current year for 5 years total. A cost of living adjustment will be added annually. The COLA will be based on the consumer price index for Riverside and San Bernardino counties, essentially the Inland Empire, based on their April report. That's the same report we use for our CFDs. The only difference is our CFDs, when they were formed, the Inland Empire report did not exist, so they're still based on the LA County metro area, I think is what it refers to. So that was a stipulation the board wanted the Inland Empire one. The other request was, it wasn't automatic, it was still brought back, part of the budget process would be approved, even through like a consent calendar item, just so the board formally recognizes the cost of living adjustment. And I want to clarify too that not to exceed 3.5%. So if the CPI came back at 4.25%, it would still be 3.5%. And then the board has the ability to withhold that should there be a financial crisis that comes forward. So essentially, it's not automatic. It would still require a board discussion, but we've set the criteria for what the rate would be. And with that, I'd have any questions.
Any questions, comments?
Did you mention about having it on the consent calendar just to approve?
Yeah, I think I said it could just be as simple as a consent.
Yeah, that was something I requested. I think that we should still have our approval, even though, but one yearly, just, so we have ours, just an item on the consent calendar, boom, yes.
Catch our attention,
Yeah.
make us aware, not just
Yeah, so we are aware of what's going on at all.
every year,
as a
not
board.
flying up, yeah,
And then if somebody does have an objection to something at that particular year.
or a question.
Right, can be voiced at that time, so.
No, and that way, I think that's a great idea, because there's no, I thought it was 3.2, not 3.
Right, it's documented that way, so.
And I've already verified the report, it is available. It comes out about April 14th, and it's through March 31st. And that's the same one that I verified with Ms. Ruber, same one we use for our inflator on our CFDs. Just two different regions.
All right.
Okay, since I had the most questions about this and problems with it last time, I will say it was very helpful to have a nice little sit down with Mr. DeGuid and everybody to really go over my questions personally. I'll make the motion for this. I move the board of directors approve the employee compensation plan for fiscal year 2024, 2025 through 2028, 2029.
Second.
Roll. No, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you. Right, on to item 6.1, general manager report.
Yes, I have a couple things I want to share with you. Bob, I know you're having some issues. If you need to drop off, feel free. But thank you. A couple things I want to remind you guys of upcoming events. We have our Latin Heritage Festival, September 7th. You're gonna see a lot of advertisement going out for it here starting this weekend. So we're really excited for that. Staff's done a great job in preparing for that. That'll be at Vernova Park. We got some exciting new stuff coming. And we're hoping for a bigger event than last year. The other event, you've heard me talk about a little bit here, and we have finalized our agreement with Big Bounce America. The world's largest bounce house is coming to Arupa Valley. You may have seen some advertisement already on social media. Yes, we're aware it says Riverside, but if you look at their marketing on social media, it's Big Bounce America Riverside, but the location does say Arupa Valley. It's a marketing strategy where they're looking for the bigger metropolitan areas. But that's it. That's the biggest bounce house in the world right there. This will be at Centennial Park. 2 weekends in October. I forgot to write down the dates. I'm sorry. But that's the main. Yeah, that's the main attraction right there. Right here in the middle, this is just to give you relative size. I counted how many blowers there were one day. I was amazed by it. This object right here in the middle, that's a DJ booth. So that's how big this is. There's a different layout. This is an obstacle course they have that's part of it that will be there as well. up and back, up and back, up and back, pass out at the end. I don't know how people could do that, but it looks absolutely amazing. So we're really excited about it. It popped up on social media, said a couple of weeks ago. They're getting a lot of positive comments on it. They do this all across the country. Up and back, to state, down, all across the United States. So we're really excited for it. They had it up in San Bernardino in March. Unfortunately, it got rained out when we had all those rains and stuff. They've been kind of on a northern tour and swinging back down here in October. So we're excited for this one. So as you're seeing advertisements on social media, I did have a member of the public take a screenshot and message me. Is this approved? Like, yeah, this is an approved event. They're good to go. So we're really excited about this one as well. And I believe they are still working with Rupert Junior All-American to help with the parking, and they'll be able to do some fundraising off of that. So
Where is the parking gonna be other than the obvious parking that's not?
we're allowing them to park in the grass as well. Yeah. It'll be Centennial Park. So.
Yes, that's why I was asking
Yeah.
that, because I know the parking lot at the top is only so big.
The other thing I just want to touch base with the board on, I sat on a legislative update call the other day with Capri. We have a legislative analyst now, I think a lot of you are aware of, from the conference. I think they're doing a very good job representing us and keeping us informed. There's a number of bills that we're watching closely that may or may not impact the park district. But the two things I just wanted to share with the board, on this November ballot, there'll be two propositions that could impact us, some positive, some maybe not. One being there is I believe it's Prop 4, which is a climate control bond. But within that, it's a $10 billion bond that's being proposed. Within that is $700 million for parks. About 300 million is for the Natural Resource Agency and state parks for unfunded maintenance liabilities. But the other 400 million is for competitive grants, which is exciting. But the more exciting aspect of it is they have revamped their definition and criteria of what an underserved or community is. Park board didn't really change, but their economic standards and what qualified have been raised. We haven't seen the criteria yet, what qualifies, but that they've acknowledged that there need to be some changes to that. If you remember, we had looked at some grant opportunities for both Rubidoux and Miraloma areas within the district. And even though they're park poor, they didn't qualify on the economic levels, just missing it. So we're hoping that with these adjustments, that'll be something that we can apply for, because we've always felt those would be very competitive park applications. So we're gonna watch that closely. The other one that's on there as well, there is a initiative that would raise minimum wage to $18. So we'll be watching that. The unfortunate thing about that one is if passed on November 5th, it goes into effect January 1 of 2025. So I've got staff looking at our programs and costs to see make sure it wouldn't impact us greatly. The reality is, for the most part, we're fairly close to that anyways in a lot of our average salaries. So we're looking at that right now just to make sure we wouldn't be adversely impacted, that we'd be advertising for programs that couldn't fund themselves. So
When they made the changes, the adjustments, is it still that problem that we're having, like that Rancho Harupa Park is a park, so therefore, anything within half a mile of that is still a problem?
that criteria hasn't changed, and that was never really our huge issue when we were looking at these grants, because we were looking at our areas that are park poor. Our biggest thing was, even though we felt those were some economically challenged areas, both of them were just over the criteria, literally thousands of dollars, for the average annual household income.
In Rubin. I just felt that was part of the problem too, because they were counting like golf courses and natural areas and parks that you have to pay to get into.
Mhm.
And yet none of that provided the people of Rubidoux, for example, with park
A lot of people are still having those same
issues.
concerns, yeah. Part of the reason from what we were told is why these numbers were raised is people in Northern California, primarily the Bay Area, nothing up there qualified. You know, the cost of living is so high, but nothing in those Bay Area, all the money basically went to Southern California. And there was a lot of.
Eggs, and that's it.
Yeah, so it may benefit us in the long run. So we're watching that closely. The other stuff as it goes through, if there's anything major that's gonna impact us, we'll bring it forward. You know, there's new bills, it's always gonna impact us when it comes to labor and requirements like that, but not as much as these two. That's why I wanna make sure I'm keeping you guys abreast as to what's going on. So other than that, like I said, I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting today. Dr. Hanson spoke before me and said the kids are back in school. And I let off that the kids are back, so the roads are busy. I said, kids are back in school, so the parks are empty right now. So, but next week that'll all change. So our newer fall programming is kicking off and we got a lot of good stuff coming. So I think that'll be it for me this evening.
Thank you. On to board comments, Ms. Johnson.
Unfortunately, I do not have a lot of comments. I was out for the count for a couple of weeks to a Baki gallbladder. And I missed the last couple concerts in the park. I was so upset, but things happen. So looking forward to the upcoming events and being able to attend those.
Thank you, Mr. Godinez.
Yes, I'm looking forward to our Land Heritage event and also to the event that's going to be
Yes.
hosted by our equestrian group that came in today, and want to thank them for coming in. And also, for those months, I'll be submitting my paperwork for reelection.
You have to do it by tomorrow. No choice.
He knows that.
Thank you. Mrs. Byrne?
I know comment tonight is all very good information. I'm down the street from that big huge ball, so as I could hear your voice, Colby, I wasn't flagging. Looking forward to.
I am so sorry about that.
That was
You
really,
hear my voice.
it was very nice actually. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leisure?
Yeah, since it didn't come up on the agenda, I had my notes from the interagency meeting. I found out that if you go to these every time, there's really very little new at all of them. So I'm not gonna bore us all to death, but one thing I did want to mention is on the new housing tract that we just approved the CSD for down south of Limonite. They are demanding water lines, and RCSD is going to have to cut across Limonite from the pumping station on Golden West to there. So be prepared. They need that like right away. So I don't know how much it's gonna tear up the street or delay anything, but just fair warning. And the only other news that I really wanted to talk about was the Ella hydrant is operational, first one. And the city is going to be adding 2 new additional sheriffs. And that's my brief report. And as far as anything else goes, I'm sorry that I missed all the concerts in the park this year. It's not on purpose, but it just, things do happen, unfortunately. So other than that, I really don't have a lot to talk about, so.
Thank you. As for me, I don't have much to share either. Just looking forward to our upcoming events the next month. So that's it for me. No committee reports. 3. All right. Future committee meetings.
No, we're waiting on some park plans for both Curtis Knolls and District at Hoopa Valley. So those will be coming forward, as well as our construction acquisition agreements for District Hoopa Valley, and assuming Rio Vista is approved at city council level, we'll have that stuff that will start kicking off as well.
Thank you. Agenda items for future board meetings? None? All right, so our following meetings will be August 22nd and September 12th. And that will conclude our meeting at 7:50. Thank you.
Hey, Bob. He's gone.
That was something. It's just.
It's amazing. Yeah.